Hey, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel, Never Out of Books. I'm a bad booktuber. I don't wrap up, I don't review, I don't do anything. I mean, life is busy and whatever, but I figured I would just title this as a bad booktuber, and then people would know that this is going to be a very interesting wrap up in that I don't remember what some of these books are about. And it's so late that I don't think anyone even cares. But, you know, it's something to put up on my channel. You know, I talked about these things, and so I feel like we should end it, and I can check that off my list. In August, so that you can all clap for me, because August was how long ago? I completed Summer Romance Book Bingo. I got a blackout, or in this case, a green out, because I use green. I know, I'm just a riot, aren't I? And I also finished this epic reading challenge that I've been doing for like ages. It's all done. I have no reading challenges going on right now, and it is delightful. So everyone can like clap for me on the other side of the camera while I find my page in August to go through the things that I read. So the first thing I read was Be With Me by Jules Bennett. This is a part of at least a trilogy. I think it's the second book. I don't remember what it's about, and I don't remember whether I liked it, so that must mean it was a 3-star read. From reading the back, it's an oops, she's pregnant right after her divorce. I think she has an abusive ex, though, which redeemed the whole pregnancy by mistake thing, because pregnancy by mistake is not my favorite trope. I really don't enjoy bringing babies into my romance novels. One of the challenges I had was to read like a holiday romance. I picked out Better Not Pout by I can't remember the author. I didn't realize it was a male-male romance. I don't like male-male romance, and I started reading it and wasn't thrilled, so I got rid of that and replaced it with The Last Christmas in Paris by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. And it says Christmas, and the current storyline that's set in the modern time was around Christmas time, so I am counting it, but I would not call this a Christmas book, which is pleasant for me because I do not like holiday books. But this is a World War I novel in the flashbacks, and of course World War I is now one of my favorite historical time periods to read about. I just love the changes it brought about in people and in the world in general. I think I've talked about this before, and this was excellent in that way. I do remember this. I remember I really liked it a lot. It was a little heartbreaking, but you know, it's okay. Every once in a while, a little heartbreak is good, but not in a bad way heartbreaking. Like, it's definitely a feel-good book. It's sad at the end, a little bit, but in a good way. Does that make sense? I don't think it does. But I would recommend this book if you like historical fiction with like a dual timeline sort of deal, although most of the timeline is around the World War I, and it is all told in, what's it called? It's epistolary form, so it's all in letters, with the exception of the few times in modern times. I read the next two books in the Red Queen Quartet, Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard and King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. From what I remember, Glass Sword, Mare was like a complete and utter horror show. Murderous and just very unlikable, and it was just not pleasant to read. Her going completely crazy and turning into a very evil person, it seems like, just to me. I mean, she didn't go to like the bad side, but like she was way over line in this book. And then you get this one where the first half of the book she's in the King's Cage, and that was boring as all get go. It took me forever to get through that. The second half of the book did get more interesting. The world got a little bit more interesting. Yeah, and it went okay after the first half. The second half went very quickly, and brought in more elements to the world and things like that, and then it really perked up. So these two. I read Obsidian and Stars. It's the second book in the Ivory and Bone duology. So this one is told from the female's point of view, and it's events after the events in Ivory and Bone. I liked this one much better than Ivory and Bone. Much, much better. I did not really like Ivory and Bone. The tenses were weird for me. This one kind of redeemed itself a little bit. I wouldn't say these are my favorite books, though, unfortunately. These are told in, I can't even remember the time period. It's like the Stone Age or something like that, like where there were clans and things like that. So it's kind of interesting in that way, but it's really just not my thing. But this one was much better. I like this one much better. But as you can say, bad booktuber, because I don't really remember. On Kindle, I read some books. Some of them were books that I owned, and some of them were from the library. One that I own is Cashmere and Camo by Erin Nicholas. This is the third and final book in the Billionaires in Blue Jeans series. This is about billionaire triplets that have to go and work in a pie shop doing things that are completely different than what their personality dictates for them, and meet all these conditions in the will in order to keep their father's legacy. And then there's the boys who actually want them to keep their father's legacy because they don't want it. And the love stories. This is Bryn's story. I loved Bryn. She's a geeky scientist, and he's like a tattooed guy, and they become friends first when they go to this small town. It's a friends to lovers, which I adore. And I love the geeky nerd and the shy and all of that she's got going for her. So I guess just because I felt her a bit more on the personal level, I enjoyed this one tremendously and gave it 4 stars. This one I owned, but I think I unhauled it. Wind River Wrangler by Lindsay McKenna. Don't remember what it's about, but I gave it 1 star, so obviously I hated it. Couldn't tell you why, though. Bad booktuber that I am. From the library, I got Hold Me Cowboy by Maisie Yates. I've been enjoying Maisie Yates. I liked this one. So it got me started because they were snowed in. Love books with like snowed in, rained in, whatever. I love those sort of circumstances. It was unfortunate because that only lasted a part of the book, and then life returned to normal. But I remember liking this, and I do believe this was also kind of a hate to love as well, which I don't normally like, but in this case it worked. Because they didn't really hate each other. They were attracted to each other and just put hate on it. I read I Kissed a Rogue by Shauna Galen from the library. This was a 3-star according to Goodreads. Reading the synopsis, I remember like just what the synopsis says, and that I was like, oh yeah, this was okay. Yeah, I kind of remember this, like when I read the synopsis, I remember kind of the circumstances of the book, but it's a historical romance, so you can kind of see how it goes, but I don't remember anything outstanding about it. Sir Brooke Denning is an investigator, and he is hired to find kidnapped daughter of a duke who happens to be his first love, who spurned him, and for whatever reason, I think it was because her father told her to, because he was too lowborn or something like that, and she really did love him, but she followed what her father wanted and broke his heart and la la la, and there was all that kind of drama in it. And then they have to take down this ring of criminals, and I think she saw something she wasn't supposed to, so it was all that sort of stuff, and it was all right. Then I read another Maisie Yates, Tough Luck Hero. This is a different series than the previous one that I read. This one I also gave 4 stars to. It was enjoyable. Not that I really remember what it's about now, though. Oh yes, this is a, I love this. This is an oops, I got married in Vegas. Yeah, so that's fun. Colton got left at the altar and ends up married to someone who annoys him. And she's running for mayor against someone who always wins. And they don't really like each other because they know each other. And they're married. And yeah, I liked this one because all of that drama is something that I enjoy reading about. And now I'm remembering and reminiscing, and I'm happy. And that's August. And yes, I'm a sucky bad booktuber, and if you made it to the end, you get a big old gold star from me and a hug. And I'm not huggy. So I got another bad wrap up at some point that I'm gonna film. And yeah, I will talk to you later because I haven't given up on booktubing. I'm just bad at it. So, bye.